With this example, let's approach templates a little bit differently. So basically it's still the same idea, right? I'll define a template and it will contain pretty much the same data like we've done in the previous exercise, but I'm going to use Foreach. And actually using Foreach will simplify the process a bit. Let's go ahead and start with creating the actual template that you saw earlier in the previous exercise. And here's the template defined in the script. As I mentioned earlier, I have to be careful in here in defining a different type like text HTML and not JavaScript, so it will not be interpreted as JavaScript, right? This is the actual skeleton of my template. That's the data it will contain. Now the next thing is I need to define my view model. So going down to the actual function, I'll start with function book view model. And inside here, I'll define everything that I need, and then I'll apply bindings. Let's close that. And inside apply bindings, I'll create my new book view model. Okay. Now, inside the function, I'm going to create an array. So this dot publishers equals, and then array, close semicolon. Now in here I'm going to define my actual objects. Every one of those objects would be the name, the book, and the price, because after all that's what I'm binding to, as you saw earlier, the name, the book, and the price. So I'm going to create, in this case, 4 of those guys and put them inside here. Now I have 4 different objects with the name, book, and the price as I expect. So I have the book view model, I applied bindings, and I defined my template up here in the script. Now down in the body, I'm going to use the data bind. Remember what we've done in the previous exercise, right? We data bound and we basically provided pub1, pub2, and pub3, and then for every one of those divs. Well, that was redundant, right? I need to see something a little bit different. So let's do that. In this case, I'm going to create a div. Let's close that. And then inside the div, I'll do a data bind. Now, again, since we're binding in here, we have to bind to a template. Template is defined with an object, and this would be, first of all, like you've done before, the name of this template. And again, this is the one that I've used up here, book template. Copy that, put it here. Okay, now this is something different we're doing this time. Instead of defining all those divs, and it doesn't make sense to define a div for every one of those objects up here, so there should be something easier, and there is. I can use for each in this case, and for each what? For each one of those publishers, I want to do something. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that, and let's try to preview it. As you would expect, like we've done before, right? The actual template with the name, book, and the price, and a horizontal rule for every one of those objects. But we simplified our process. In this case, we learned that it's easier to deal with an array using a for each inside the template to make our life easier. Let's look at one more example with the template before we move into other subject, because I have custom binding and a wrap-up example that I'd like to talk about in this course. So let's go ahead and move to the last portion of the template.